The universe expands, yet the truth remains, still within.
If consciousness is infinite, why does it feel limited? What if your awareness never truly began? Not when you were born, not when your brain developed, not at any moment you can point to. Because if you look closely, there is something about awareness that feels different from everything else. Your body changes, your thoughts change, your personality evolves, but the sense of being aware remains constant. It doesn't age, it doesn't grow, it simply is. And that raises a question that is difficult to ignore. If awareness feels constant, almost timeless, then what exactly is it? Because everything else in the universe seems to have a beginning and an end. Stars are born and die. Galaxies form and dissolve. Even time itself had a starting point. But awareness doesn't feel like it belongs to that same process. It feels outside of it. Some believe that consciousness is not created by the brain, but filtered through it. That your mind is not producing awareness, but limiting it, like a lens focusing something vast into something small. Like a receiver tuning into a signal that already exists. And what you experience as yourself is just a localized expression of something much larger. But if that is true, why does it feel so limited? Because right now, your awareness feels centered, focused, bound to a single body, a single perspective. You see through your eyes, you hear through your ears, you think in your own voice. Everything feels contained within you, personal, isolated, defined. But if awareness is truly infinite, this shouldn't be the case. So what is creating this limitation? One possibility is that limitation is not a flaw, but a function. Because without limitation, there would be no perspective, no individuality, no experience. If awareness were truly infinite and unrestricted, it would not observe anything from a specific point. It would not have a here or a now. It would simply exist, without contrast, without separation. And without separation, there is no experience. Because experience requires boundaries. It requires contrast. It requires a distinction between observer and observed, between self and other, between inside and outside. So what if limitation is not something imposed on consciousness, but something necessary for it to experience anything at all? In that sense, limitation becomes the mechanism of experience. And what you call you is not the whole of awareness, but a point of view within it, a focused perspective, a temporary frame. And everything you experience, your thoughts, your emotions, your memories, is part of that frame, a constructed layer that allows awareness to interact with itself, to observe, to feel, to question. But every now and then, something strange happens. You become aware of being aware. Not thinking, not reacting, just observing. And in those moments, the boundaries begin to soften. The sense of I becomes less solid, less defined, and you start to notice something. You are not the thoughts. You are not the emotions. You are not even the identity you carry. You are the one, aware of all of it. And that realization changes everything, because if you are not the content of your experience, then what you are is closer to awareness itself. Not limited by the story, not defined by the role, but present before all of it. So maybe the question is not, is consciousness infinite? But why does something infinite choose to experience itself as limited? Because if awareness is truly vast, then this experience, this life, this perspective may not be all that you are, but just a part of it, a focused expression, a temporary window through which something much greater is looking. If this made you think, take a moment to like the video and tell me in the comments, do you think consciousness is limited or just appearing that way?